Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome back to my Heroes in the Mist 5th edition Ravenloft Curse of Strahd campaign. This is part 2 of session 6, I believe. So we're back where we were. The group was just gathering to meet some Vistani in order to travel along the roads out of Barovia and towards the distant village of Crushed. Now, when last we left, our group had waited until nightfall when they were told to meet with the Vistani. So what do you guys do? It's nightfall. It's about half an hour before nightfall.
We meet with the Vistani.
That's where we're headed.
We're leaving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so they go ahead and they head on out. Even though it's still half an hour before supposed nightfall, the sky is pretty dark, the shadows are long, it may as well be in the middle of twilight already. You see a series of 2 wagons on the road out of Barovia to the southwest, and they're just kind of parked there along the road. There's several men and women of kind of like an olive skin tone, dark hair, brightly colored clothing, just getting these wagons up and running. They are covered wagons, not covered. They're like full built up building wagons. They're gypsy wagons, brightly colored, painted, suited for traveling. They are in fact laden with all sorts of goods, likely from their time trading in town.
They seem more like a guild or an ethnic group.
They seem more like an ethnic group.
Okay.
They're gypsies.
The
Yeah, you
preferred
can't really
term
come
is
out and say
Romani.
it, but yeah, the Romani, but they are the Vistani.
Okay, well, we'll walk up to the group and
Right.
introduce
As you
ourselves
walk
if
up-
Estok is around.
Alright, Estok is around. He walks out to meet the group and nods to each of them. Greetings, my friend. I see you have managed to come here. You brought the funds we agreed upon, correct?
All just here to Vallaki.
And he looks to Vallaki.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Yes, that will be 10 gold for the entire group.
I will hand over the agreed upon funds.
Alright, so you cross 10 gold off and you hand them over to the relatively young-looking Vistani. He walks over to the rest of the group. Please, we will be leaving here shortly, since you are the last people we were waiting for. Our progress will take us up towards Ser Falls, where we will stop, spend the rest of the night, early morning, and then depart again on tomorrow afternoon, if that is fine. So, I would, since you are here to guard, I would like you and you, he points to Hames and Bellic, up front, and you and you, he points to Tiberius, Javik, and Irina, in the back, if you could, just to take up the rear.
Alright. Anything
I'll just mosey on down to the back.
Get underway?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Go ahead, Joe.
Said I'll just mosey on my way to the back.
I will ask Estok if there's any last-minute preparations he needs my help with. Any heavy lifting to be done?
He shakes his head. No, my friend, but I honestly could have used you a little bit earlier, Unfortunately.
Alright, fair enough. I'll head to my assigned position.
Alright.
So it's
Just,
Javik me in the front or Bellic and me?
Bellic and Hames up front, and then Tiberius, Javik, and Irina on the back.
Okay.
Alright.
All right.
And you are basically on foot, because even though the caravan travels relatively slowly. They go ahead and pull on out onto the road, heading off to the southwest of town. It looks like it's going to take a few hours at the very least, even to get out of town and up to the Balanox. First, however, once out of the village of Barovia, as you leave the clustered houses and misery of that village behind, the scenery really just opens up. There's just this vista of this ascending slope that's just forested, and beyond it, towering peaks reaching up to the clouds themselves. You can see from your position the River Ivlis, which you are about to cross any moment now, coming down from a cascading waterfalls somewhere to the west/northwest. The road itself can be seen winding in and out of various crevices heading up towards the mountains. The rest is just nothing but thick, thick forest. And indeed, as you cross the River Ivlis, it is a river as clear as a blue winter sky, and it's just actually brighter. It's actually clearer and bluer than the sky that you have actually seen during your stay there. It's absolutely almost breathtaking, really. You go ahead and continue across it. You head south of the river, and then it dips south, and then after a while of heading west, it starts heading towards the north again. All the while, just winding its way through thick stands of trees that just block all your view more than about 10 feet from the road in any direction.
Just a quick note. Given my background as Outlander, I would have a memory of where we've been and the general directions of the major landmarks and such.
Right, and you have not seen any of this just yet, but you can mark it for future reference. You basically pick your way through this forest. It takes you until well after dark as you go along. You continue under the trees, and then eventually, ahead, the road splits. An old wooden gallows creaks in a chill wind that blows down from the high ground to the west. A frayed length of rope dances from its beam. The well-worn road splits here, and a signpost opposite the gallows points off in 3 directions. Barovia village to the east, Sarahpool to the northwest, and Ravenloft/Vallakia to the southwest. The northwest fork slants down and disappears into the trees, while the southwest fork clings to an upward slope. Across from the gallows, a low wall, crumbling in places, partially enclosed is a small plot of graves, shrouded in a fog similar to that which shrouded the ones outside of the village of Barovia. And the Vistani, for their part, don't even pause. They just continue on towards the northwest and down into what looks like a deep depression amongst the trees, opposite the one that leads, up into the mountains. Does anybody say anything, or just keep going along?
Now we keep going along. Hope there's a little speed too.
All right.
I mean, Vallaki, like the scenery isn't lost on Vallaki or anything like that. But
right.
there doesn't seem to be anything to do but continue on. I mean, it is currently our job to help protect the caravan. So if the caravan goes on and I stay behind, I'm not really doing my job.
Right.
Okay. As you continue onwards, the darkness builds. It's now full-on night. The sky overhead is still almost slate black. Occasionally, beams of moonlight come piercing through the clouds, only to be scattered amongst the leaves of the trees overhead. You feel a chill breeze just kind of curling through the thick trunks of the forest around you. And in the distance you can hear a distant roaring, as if a great amount of water, basically a waterfall, falling into a deep pool. Occasionally the silence of the night is broken by the distant howls of wolves, although they never seem to grow any closer. The caravan continues deeper and deeper into the woods until it finally just begins to leave the road entirely. The road gradually disappears and is replaced by a twisting, muddy path through the trees. Deep ruts in the earth are the only evidence of the comings and goings of this particular group of wagons. The canopy of mist and branches above suddenly gives way to black clouds billowing far overhead. There's a clearing here, next to a river that widens to form a small lake several hundred feet across. 5 colorful round tents, each 10 feet in diameter, are pitched outside a ring of 4 barrel-topped wagons. A much larger tent stands near the shore of its lake, its sagging form lit from within. Near this tent, 8 unbridled horses drink from the river. The mournful strains of an accordion clash with the singing of several brightly clad figures around a bonfire. A footpath continues beyond the encampment, meandering north between the river and the forest's edge. And now, one moment.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's just beautiful description. But yeah, I can hear you.
God damn this thing. Alright, one moment.
Yes, we can still hear.
We know all. We hear all. We see all.
Alright, back to what we were doing. You see this pool ahead. It's clear that your caravan is heading there. This must be the pool, the Sarah pool that you'd heard of. What do you do?
I'm gonna stick right with the caravan.
Okay. They kind of pull on up amongst the edge of the encampment. There's several other wagons that you see here and there. You see several draft horses drinking from the river itself. As you approach, a number of similarly clothed and similarly garbed and appearing individuals walk out to greet the group that you're with. You see others sitting around sitting around the fire, telling stories and drinking wine. A number of them look quite drunk indeed.
Remember, we want to get far past that gathering spirits before it starts.
Right.
We don't want to get caught up there.
Estoc pauses. Says, "Yeah, you have no worries about the spirits. They go along the other way that we split from at the crossroads."
Good enough for me.
And indeed, at this point, it's not far off of midnight, and you might, if you keep your eyes out, see exactly what they're talking about.
I'll be looking
However,
for it.
as they go ahead and stop, you're invited by a few of them to partake of the drinks and the various revelry. One of them offers to tell a tale to the group. Do you go ahead and go along with them?
I would love to hear a tale.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
I'll try.
So
and I'll try and situate myself during the whole thing where I can keep an eye on where that procession that I've heard about of specters might go by, so I can see what it looks like and what's going on with that.
Right.
And I'll be
And
listening to the tale as well, and I will, have a few drinks, but nothing too much.
all right. So you drink moderately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Afterwards. All right. And the rest of you, do you go ahead and have drinks and so on and so forth?
I'll drink moderately for a Goliath.
Meaning all of
All
it.
right.
Most of it.
Okay. As you go ahead and settle down to drink and such, it's not long before you do see an odd sight. A line of glowing figures appearing to be an entire army arrayed in a variety of different arms and armaments, each one looking slightly different than the next, kind of can be seen in the very distance, moving along from the village of Barovia and slowly marching down the road. You can glimpse them through the trees and places, but more importantly, once the road goes up that slope that you'd seen before, that's when you can really see them just marching in order up the slope. It's an eerie sight, to be sure.
I'll nudge one of the Vistani I'm drinking with and jerk my chin in the direction of the procession and be like, what's their story?
The Vistani, oh, those are the poor souls that went against our dear lord, Strahd von Zarovich. They had the temerity to question his hold over the land, and like any kind man, he tried to dissuade them, but they would not be dissuaded. So they threw themselves against his gate, and unfortunately perished for the thought. Now they spend forever trying to repeat their task in some vain attempt to disrupt his rule.
All right then. I will light my vaguely magical tobacco pipe and blow those skulls of smoke and listen to whatever
Okay.
stories they're willing to tell me.
All right.
Just to
The
enjoy it, and that drink in my glass was the same thing.
All right, the first story that one of them goes ahead and starts in on a story. Says, Our visitors here are not the first people from another land that have crossed the borders and into this strange land of mist and forest. And he seems to know that you're not native to the area. A mighty wizard came to this land not long ago. I remember him like it was yesterday. He stood exactly where you're standing now, in fact. A very charismatic man. He thought he could rally the people of Barovia against what he called the Devil's Throd. He stirred them up with thoughts of revolt and bore them to the castle en masse, much like those doomed souls that you see up there were doing. When our Lord Strahd appeared, the wizard's peasant army fled in terror. A few stood their ground and were never seen again. The wizard and the count cast spells at one another. Their battle flew from the courtyards of Ravenloft to the precipice overlooking the falls, and he points up to the waterfall that is actually descending quite close to the castle that you see perched up on the hill. I saw the battle with my own eyes. Thunder shook the mountainside, and great rocks tumbled down upon the wizard, yet his magic survived. Lightning from the heavens struck the wizard, and again he stood his ground. But when Strahd fell upon him, the wizard's magic couldn't save him. I saw him thrown 1,000 feet to his death. I climbed down to the river below to search for the wizard's body, to see if, he had anything of value. But the river Ivlis had already spirited his body away.
It's a hell of a story.
Yes, our Lord Strahd is a hell of a man.
He's a what?
Some say he's the devil himself.
Oh.
I don't know if I believe that, but...
What do you believe?
The way it sounds, he's a man of great power.
Well, he is a man of great power. I'll not argue that. He's a kind man. He treats us fairly.
Does he?
Our people have been on good terms with him since before he conquered this land. In fact, one of our ancestors discovered him wounded, spirited him away from his enemies at the time, and tended him back to health. Ever since, we've been close allies.
You seem to enjoy quite a position of privilege with him.
Yes, well, he is a fair man, if a little bit harsh on some. Tell you what, you seem like a man of taste. Our seer, Madame Eva, she's got the sight. She's got the second sight here. If you wish, and this is just an offer, is an offer. If you wish, you should go visit her, see what she has to say about your coming future. Not a lot of outsiders get a sample of that.
Haven't had my fortune told in a while.
All right. So he points to one of the wagons on the outskirts.
What was her name?
Madame Eva.
Eva?
Yes.
Madam what?
Eva.
I just hear little warning bells.
EVA.
I will go see Madame Eva, but it sounds like other people are also going to go. I'll make sure that, we're not all crowding in at the same time, and I'll just wait my turn kind of thing.
And we need to be ready to run just in case there's any indication that they may, say, have gotten word from their boss to look for us. Or she may see something with her second sight that gives them all reason to turn on us.
Or she's just a crazy old gypsy lady and she just says crazy things. I mean, I want to find out either way.
Me too.
All right,
We'll take
so you
turn.
go over to the tent. Or not the tent, is it a tent? I thought it was a wagon.
It was
That's
a wagon.
tent. Fuck it. Pretend I said tent.
A
That's a
tented
large
wagon.
tent. That's a large, multicolored tent, larger than most in the group. As you approach, you see the flap is open, and there's actually ample room for the entire group to head in at once if they want. So you would not necessarily be crowding in. Do you all enter at the same time, or?
Yeah, I'll take our charge with us as well. I keep forgetting her name.
All right, Irina,
Irina.
the miscellaneous NPC woman.
Mhm.
No, okay. Irina enters the tent readily with the others. As you enter, magic flames cast a reddish glow over the interior of this tent, revealing a low table covered in a black velvet cloth. Glints of light seem to flash from a crystal ball on the table as a hunched figure peers into its depths. As the crone speaks, her voice crackles like dry weeds. "At last you have arrived." Cackling laughter bursts like mad lightning from her withered lips.
You've
She
been
looks
expecting
to
us?
each of you. "Of course I have, Javak. Why would I not? You are interesting travelers in this land."
I raise my eyebrows and pull up a chair to that table.
Please, please, have a seat, have a seat.
Don't mind if I do.
Javak, the Wanderer, the Bear Slayer, you've led these groups through horrors untold, but you'll be facing horrors yet, I'm sure. Belloc, try to keep your silver tongue in check. I believe Irina needs a little bit more time to grieve her father's loss. Hames, you do a good enough job protecting them. Just keep it up, and I'm sure that they will live through the trials to come. Tiberius, try to lay off the moonshine for at least one night. I've got important things to tell you. At this point, she starts taking a deck of cards out and shuffling it. "So you've come to me to have your fortunes told. I understand if you doubt my abilities. I have given you no reason to believe them.
I put both hands behind my hand, or I put both hands behind my back, and then I say, "How many fingers am I holding up?"
That's a parlor
Oh, no,
trick,
that's
and that's not something that I could readily divine. But I can ask the spirits about the longer term roads, the important things that will actually matter in your life.
Javik is immediately skeptical.
Believe it or not, I charge you nothing for this reading.
Fair enough.
At this point, she sets the deck of worn cards down. It is, if you really want me to read your fortunes.
By all means.
She nods.
I'm certainly interested.
Go ahead and cut the deck. And we shall begin.
I'll cut the deck.
Alright. She goes ahead and sets the deck aside. After a moment, she begins laying out the cards in order. Not a lot of them, just 5 cards. Face down upon the table before her. And you give me one moment while I actually do that. Sorry about this, I'm actually going to need some time. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And then 4 and 5, and get a bigger desk, apparently. Alright, she says, this is the first card. This tells of the history of the place. Knowledge of the ancient that will help you better understand your enemy. In this particular instance, we come up with the one of coins, the swashbuckler. Next, actually, hold on one moment. And you can pretend she does this way more smoothly than this. The one of coins. Of course, this still regards the knowledge of the ancient that will better help you understand your enemy. The one of coins, the swashbuckler. I see a skeleton of a deadly warrior lying on a bed of stone, flanked by gargoyles. Keep your eyes out for such a thing, for surely the knowledge that you seek will be close at hand. The second card is another of the first cards, the Avenger, the One of Swords. And I'm absolutely sure that nobody can see the details on that, but we can pretend. The One of Swords. This card tells of a powerful force for good and protection, a holy symbol of great hope. As for the One of Swords itself, it simply refers to a dragon's house, in hands once clean and now corrupted. Next.
And what was that last?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What was the last part?
In hands once clean and now corrupted. A dragon's house. Next This is a card of power and strength. It tells of a weapon of vengeance, a sword of sunlight. The cards say that it will be found somewhere represented by the Four of Coins, the merchant. That tells me I need to go ahead and read this again. That says to seek a cask that once contained the finest wine, of which not a drop remains. Next, second to last, this card sheds light on one who will help you greatly in the battle against darkness, the enemy of your enemy, if you will. This is a crown card, the Esper, which is actually probably something else in this particular edition. The Seer. Look for a dusk elf living amongst the Vistani. He has suffered a great loss and is haunted by dark dreams. Help him, and he will help you in turn. And lastly, the enemy itself. Your enemy is a creature of darkness, whose powers are beyond mortality. This card will lead you directly to him when you decide to seek him. And this is the Raven. Just give me one moment. The Raven. You can... Wait a minute. This can't be right. No, I did mess up. Now there we go. The Raven. You can find him. You can find him in his own mother's tomb. For whatever that will avail you. If you wish me to repeat any of these, I certainly can.
You said a dusk elf among the Vistani?
A dusk elf, yes, they're a curious race of elves. They came from another place and another time, and there are very few left in existence.
Okay, I just want to make sure I've got all this down and not actually saying anything in character.
Right.
Is this essentially a summary of what you told us? We need to keep an eye out for a skeleton of a great warrior. We should also be on the lookout for a holy symbol and a dragon's heart.
A skeletal warrior with gargoyle statues nearby.
Oh, gargoyle statues, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I have accurate notes for all this. I basically just transcribed what he said into my notepad here.
That's what I was trying to do, but he went a little fast for me, which is why I want to...
Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead, continue if you want.
Well, Mr. Fast Typer there should have gotten it all.
Yeah,
I
well,
did. Jared,
This video is going up on YouTube, so you
on
can just
IRC.
review it at a later date.
Give it to you, Jared.
all right, thanks.
All right. And then she just shakes her head. And if you're asking if this dusk elf is amongst us here, I'm afraid not. You may have to investigate other camps to find him.
Well, we figured if he was here, you would have told us.
Yes, well, he would have been obvious. They are not human. I mean, they are human-looking, but they are obviously not human. But you have a interesting group yourself, there.
We could say that.
Maybe a little bit. Just a tiny bit.
We've seen some shit.
Well, I hope this reading helps you out, and I do pray that you survive to see the end of your particular challenge.
Well, if we don't,
we
I don't
we
you'll hear
pray
it.
and hope the same. One of our number has already passed.
Yes, it's a sad fact that the challenge is enough that there's no guarantee you will survive, even with my assistance. If there is anything else I can do for you, let me know, but I fear that my powers beyond foresight are fairly limited.
Thank you for the reading.
I'll get up out of the chair and head back out of the tent.
She nods and watches the group head out.
Well, that was quite nice. Gave us a lot to think about, though.
Yep.
I'll stay behind for a little bit because I'm curious if, rather than us as a group, if she had any words for any of us individually.
She doesn't appear to have any more information for an individual. So unfortunately,
Some fortune teller.
I cannot see whether you will survive long enough on your own without the influence of the entire group you travel with.
Well, again, thank you for your time.
She dips her head. Be safe. Be safe.
And I'll head up.
Okay, and the rest of you?
Following along.
Yep. Guess we head
out. By now, the storytelling has kind of petered off a little bit. You have the rest of the night to spend. Do you just want to go ahead and rest? It's a little bit after. It's a fair amount after midnight by the time you get done.
I say we call it a long rest and set watches.
Okay, you go ahead and long rest.
We're hired to guard them after all.
All right. At that particular camp, it seems like they've got many individuals ready to stand watch, but they will not object if you add to the cycle.
Got to pull our own weight.
Right. They go ahead and spend the rest of the night there. Hold on. And in the morning, or shortly thereafter, they are ready to go again. Except, as usual, I've lost the place. Alright. Who would be on watch in the morning?
I'll take the first watch.
I'll take the second to last watch, or last watch.
Okay. So
We'll
whoever would
take
be on
one
the
right
last
between.
watch. Alright.
Okay, I'm on last watch then.
Alright, as you see the Vistani packing up to continue on their caravan, at least the ones that are going with you, you do see a few wolves often in the woods just watching the group pack. And then they dart off as soon as they notice they've been noticed.
I tell what's the leader of the caravan.
Okay.
That's
Your
not-
contact within the caravan, Estok, who's not actually the leader, but he's the only one that deigns to
Well,
speak
the
to group.
contact, yeah.
Yeah, he nods. Yes, it's not an unusual sight to see wolves and bats and other creatures in the woods. Pay no mind as long as they are not attacking.
So I just tell them that they left as soon as they saw I noticed them.
Yeah, skittish animals. The beasts of the wild often wish to be unobserved. Watch me stutter. All right, so you continue on your way when they leave. They
Yeah.
go ahead and head south again, back towards the crossroads. This time they follow the crossroads around the gallows and start winding their way up into the Balanox. The road immediately goes to the west and then to the north, and then does this kind of U-turn, winding up until it finally reaches some pretty tall peaks. Ahead of you, as you continue to travel, you basically you're following a dirt road, and it's clinging directly to the side of the mountain, and on the other side there's nothing but like a sheer cliff face. Ahead of you, you see an arching bridge of mold-encrusted stone that spans a natural chasm underneath which the river plunges. Gargoyles cloaked in black moss perch on the corners of the bridge, their frowns weather-worn. On the mountainous side of the bridge, a waterfall spills into a misty pool nearly 1,000 feet below. The pool feeds a river that meanders into the fog-shrouded pines that blanket the valley. And you see, down on one side of that pool is the very encampment that you made the night before. This bridge offers a clear view of anybody that might have been down and active down there last night. You continue on your way. Again, after... by now it is about late morning. Ahead of you, you see the dirt road splitting in two, widening towards the east. Towards the east, you see patches of cobblestone, suggesting that the eastern branch was once an important thoroughfare. And indeed, east of you, you see this road winding up towards a tall, inspired castle that reaches up even further than the mountains itself. The caravan, instead of going east towards the castle, takes the westernmost branch, which heads very shortly, after perhaps a quarter of a mile, towards a set of odd gates. Jutting up from the bare stone on either side of the road are high stone buttresses looming gray throughout the from the surroundings. Huge iron gates hang on the stonework. Dew clings with cold tenacity to the rusted bars. Two headless statues of armed guardians flank the gate, their heads now laying amongst the weeds at their feet. They stand silently, just as odd sentinels. As you approach the gates, they swing open with a strange screeching. Just by themselves. Screech! And without even missing a beat, the Vistani and their carriage continue on through those gates, and off into what looks like another valley beyond. You see at this point the mountains start descending, and you see another wide forested area, this one with a much larger lake in it, and you see off in the distance, amongst the fog-shrouded trees, just the glimpses of settlements just at the edge of perception. By now, what would be the noon sunrise is high. You can barely notice it, aside from a slightly brighter tone. The caravan continues downwards towards the valley. One moment. I'm assuming you just continue onward with the others doing the job, so to speak. You've noticed nothing is attacking, and not only has nothing been attacking, but it seems that even the wild animals go out of their way to avoid the carriages as they continue on along. As you descend, you see the road splits again after another hour or so of travel. Just at the base of the mountains, the road splits, and you notice off of a short spur of this road, you see a windmill with an oddly familiar patterning on its vanes, on its flames.
The Death Family's windmill.
And then the road kind of veers off to the northeast, descending steeply along the ridge.
I pointed out to Belloc, hey Belloc, look at the family. What's their names again?
Durst.
Yeah, Durst.
Durst. Hey, there's the Durst windmill.
No Hames. That's our windmill.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's our windmill. There's our windmill.
I wasn't there for that.
The claim draws some odd looks from the Vistani, but nobody bothers to actually call you out on that.
I will distinctly memorize its location.
It is at the base of the mountains where the old Svalak road leads up them. That is the road that you're on. This is the road that crosses through the entire county. You continue onward to the northeast, where the road takes a sudden U-turn again and proceeds west along the lake, along the shores of Lake Zarovat. Not really on the shore. You're separated by about anywhere from a quarter of a mile to a half a mile of thick forest.
But we
but
follow
you do
the shoreline.
you do see it through the trees from the distance. You see the glimmering of water in the distance. They continue onward, and it is late. It is mid-afternoon before you see ahead of you a walled town. The Vistani speak. This will be the town of Vallaki. You wish to see Kreshk, that is most of another day's travel further west. We will be stopping in Vallaki overnight through tomorrow, and then the next night we will be on our way. So, if you have any business to take care of in Vallaki, I suggest you take care of it. If
Fair
not,
enough.
you can stay here with us.
I
We will
think that
actually
is-
we will actually be camped on the shores of Lake of Zarovik itself to the north. You can follow the road up there if you wish.
Good enough.
And so they actually bypass the city gates and head off to make a camp on the edge of Lake Zarovik. You see along the southern shore there are 3 small rowboats. A 4th boat can be seen out in the middle of the lake with a lone figure sitting in it, fishing pole in hand. And this is just in the fading light of day. The Vistani go ahead and set up their wagons in a rough camp. Occasionally you look out to the man out in the river with a suspicious look.
Who's the fisherman? I'll ask one of the nearby Vistani.
I'm not sure, but I have never seen him before.
In the
Does he
time
look
that
like
I
a dusk elf?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Does he look like a dusk elf?
You can't tell from there.
Does he look like a skeleton? No, wait.
is he at least moving and making fishing appropriate gestures while he's out there?
He
You know,
is
waving his
not
hands back
making-
and forth.
He is moving, but he is not making fishing appropriate gestures. In fact, he looks around nervously as if he's afraid of being spotted.
I make it very obvious that I've spotted him.
Okay, he does not respond to any of your any of
So our
your
presence here hasn't disturbed him at all.
obviousness. Apparently not. And oddly enough, it seems that every time his gaze passes past, it's just like he doesn't really fix on anything. It's like he's staring off into the distance.
He's a ghost. Calling it no. Fishing ghost. I'll help the Vistani set up their camp and do
Okay,
whatever
they
heavy
go ahead.
lifting needs to be done.
They go ahead to set up the camp. All right. As you go ahead and set up the camp, you notice the fisherman who's on watch at that point.
I'm taking first watch and keeping a close eye on that creepy fisherman.
Okay. You see him pick up a rather heavy hempen sack, sling it over his shoulder, and then dump it into the water. It hits with a splash, and you can see the sack kind of wriggling around as it begins to sink.
Wriggling around like he's disposing of a body.
No, if it's a
live
body,
body.
it's a living body. It is sinking
How far-
at that point.
How far out is he?
He's about 400 feet from the nearest shore.
Oh, okay, I'm not getting out there in time.
You have boats there as well.
Yeah, but in the time it takes me to get 400 feet out into a lake, any person that's in that sack, they're dead by then.
Not if they hold their breath.
And they're
You
sinking?
get out there in about a minute and a half.
Yeah, a minute and a half. That's doable.
You could still somebody could still be living.
Okay, in character, Javik would definitely rush to help the obvious body that's getting dumped into the lake. So I'm hopping onto that rowboat and I'm burning my way out there.
Do you let anybody know what you're
I'll
doing there?
cry out before I jump into the boat.
All right,
And
you run over.
with very little time, make it obvious that some shit's going on out in the lake,
Yeah.
and I'ma go join it.
All right, you run over there. You jump in the boat. The boat can hold easily 5 people. Anybody else to tag along?
Belloc?
I'll tag along if I see him in time.
Yeah,
I mean, we're at least going to follow somewhat close by.
Help him row out there.
Outswimming everybody.
All right, Belloc. So basically, everybody joins him, right?
Yeah, and I'm gonna ditch
Okay.
everything but my great axe on the shore.
All right, and you go ahead and you haul out there, just rowing and rowing and rowing, and I think that we're going to go ahead and take a break here,
Awesome.
and we will come back
Alright.
in 10 minutes.
Can't wait.
See you then.